All right, everybody, welcome to our session. So today we're gonna talk a little bit how to prep our students for careers while teaching from a distance. My name is Christopher Algarra, and I'm an associate professor of engineering at Middlesex Community College. Before I start with the topic, I would like to talk to you a little bit about myself. I got my engineering degree at Carabobo's University in Venezuela. Then I started working as an engineer for Volkswagen and the oil industry back in my country. After that, I moved to the States to continue my education and get my master's in mechanical engineering from Merrimack College. And after that, I started working for Middlesex as a professor. It's been a great journey, and I teach most of the mechanical engineering classes and CAD classes as well. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the technology that we have at MCC. I prepare a case study about one of my courses that I've taught. Then we're gonna talk about certifications at MCC, a little bit about the COVID-19, and finally some Q&A. So technology at Middlesex. So we give our students access to the CAD software such as SolidWorks, Revit, and AutoCAD through something that we call BDIs. I'm gonna develop that topic a little bit more. We also use Connect from McGraw-Hill for engineering classes such as thermodynamics, and then the Mastering Lab from Pearson for dynamics and statics. We also have Solid Professor, who are a huge user of Solid Professor and Blackboard. So before I get into any of the topics, about what I've done with my classes and everything, I want to tell you a little bit about BDIs. BDIs is a virtual desktop interface. This technology was acquired by Middlesex probably in 2016. They started with conversations and everything, and then when they got hired in 2017, they migrate everything to BDIs. So what is a BDIs? It's pretty much a virtual desktop interface. It works with a client, and it's pretty much server connected. The students can access to those virtual desktops from anywhere. Okay, basically what Middlesex does is that they will pre-code all the programs into the server, and then the student can access to those programs through any computer, and we're going to call that a client. So how do they get access? How do they access the VDI from off campus? Pretty much they use any HTML access, which is any browser like Google Chrome and things like that, or they can install the app on their computers, and then they get access to the software. A great thing about this is that they don't need a supercomputer to run the programs. All the power needed to run the programs comes from the server. They have a projection of what the software is. Sometimes it could be a little laggy depending on your internet connection, but so far has been working pretty well. So we've been working with that for 2 years now, and now with the COVID situation, it's finally paying off, I think. So the engineering programs that we have at Middlesex, primarily, we have engineering technology CAD, which is everything related with CAD. We teach our students how to use SolidWorks from very basic to the very advanced level. We have AutoCAD classes from the very basic to the very advanced, also 3D modeling. We have Autodesk Revit. We have Eagle PCB. We have, I think that's about it, those 3 softwares. Then we have mechanical engineering concentration, civil engineering concentration, computer and electrical engineering concentration, and chemical engineering. For this session, I want to focus a little bit more about engineering technology and, and mechanical engineering, because those are the classes that I teach the most. So the case study. I want to talk to you a little bit about how I've changed my classes from the day I got hired by utilizing technology, and how that helped me to move pretty quickly into the remote learning or online learning, as we call it. Okay, so we have engineering at Middlesex Community College, and pretty much the two programs that we're going to focus today is going to be the engineering technology CAD and the mechanical engineering. So what you see on this side, it's pretty much the levels for solid modeling or 3D modeling or anything related with the creation of 3D models. Okay, at Middlesex we use SolidWorks. The engineering technology CAD students, they get to have solid modeling 1, 2, and 3, which means they go from the very basic to the very advanced. Mechanical engineering students, on the other hand, they only have access to solid modeling 1, which is the first level, and then they take that experience into their careers when they transfer over, any state school or anywhere in Massachusetts or outside the state. So we're gonna focus today in solid modeling 1. And why is that? That is the basics of the whole SolidWorks teaching here at Middlesex, and it builds the foundation for what's coming. And I'm talking about, harder topics. Solid Modeling 1 is a course designed to provide the students with the basic skills required to develop three-dimensional CAD solid models. The course is offered to CAD and mechanical engineering students. They have the class at the same time all together. It is considered to be the first level of the 3D model curriculum at Middlesex. Students are tasked with projects to pretty much simulate a real world work environment and develop critical thinking skills, which is very, very important when working with 3D models. So how was the class when I got hired? I want to talk a little bit about that. The class was a regular class, book-based class, the same way I learned most of my engineering classes. Learning outcomes were reached, as always, everything that is stated on the program. We were not offering SolidWorks certifications at that moment at any level. I would say that there was limited professor-student interaction because as professors, we spend, a good amount of time teaching the students and lecturing the students. And then when we have to work with the software, we have time to work with them. But then when we send the homeworks and they get stuck at home, we don't have that approach with them. And I found that quite important because they submit their homework and everything, but when I go to assess my students through exams or something like that, and I don't see the same results in the homework, the first thing you will think is that they cheated or something like that. So there was also a limited capacity to move further into more advanced topics in design. So 15 weeks of the semester we spent with the students explaining from what SolidWorks is all the way to simple assemblies, and then that's it. That's pretty much what the class will cover. So if we compare that with now in 2020, we don't need any book at all. I entirely use Solid Professor, and I rely on Solid Professor to teach my classes. I also use designs on my own in a way to teach my students. Learning outcomes are reached as much as they were reached before, but now I'm offering SolidWorks certifications at this level. The professor-student interaction increased so much, and the reason why is because Solid Professor is helping me to build the knowledge with the students. Then when I go to the lecture, they're more prepared. It's been proven. So they're more prepared to the lecture, and therefore we get to cover the content pretty quickly, and then we can get with, start working with the computer and the program, and that gives me more interaction with the student. I also realized that we get a higher capacity to move further into more advanced topics in design. So Middlesex trained me to create online classes back probably in 2018. Yeah, I would say that. And it was very important, for me to get that training because that helped me to develop my classes in a really organized way. And I want to share with you kind of like my Blackboard classes. Just give me one quick second. Okay. 1 second. Sorry. Even though I'm a huge promoter of technology, sometimes it could be a little bit hard. All right. So what you see right now, it's my SolidWorks class back in the fall of 2017, a regular Blackboard class. When you go to content, I will have my assignments, my quizzes, some material that I posted for my students, chapters of the book, final project, kind of organized if you think about it. And when you click on the assignments that they needed to submit, I have, my assignments that they were labeled by chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, homework and things like that. And that worked pretty well. Like I said, I got to cover everything that was needed at the moment. But then the problem with this is when I got trained to teach online classes, I realized that the class was not as good as I thought. And this is my class 2 years later. Okay, sure. Okay, this is my class in the spring of 2020, right when the pandemic happened. Okay, we have a welcome video I created. I realized that the students will react better when they have video interactions with the faculty. And let me be clear, this is an in-person class. It's not an online class. I just use the same format that I use online with the classes that I teach in presence. So there's no much difference in the classes. So there is a welcome video explaining a little bit about myself, who I am, what I've been working on, my syllabus. And then when you look at this, we have something that is called Getting Started. When I click on it, there is something that says Introduction to Solid Professor and VDIs. When you click on it, this is quite critical for my classes, all of them. And the reason why it's very, very important is because some students, they don't know what Solid Professor is. And at first, when they're introduced to this new topic, they have a lot of doubts and they could, struggle a little bit. So I prepare different steps for the students to follow. So the first step would be how to create your membership, your student membership with Solid Professor, how to access my class on Solid Professor, logging into the virtual desktop like the VDIs, explaining what VDIs are and how to access SolidWorks with the VDIs. This part right here, we spend quite of time, whether the class is online or in person, so the students can know exactly what's coming. So when I go to the course content, now I divided the whole course into different modules following the Solid Professor design. So for example, everybody that has taught Solid Professor, SolidWorks using SolidWorks, Solid Professor, they will know that the first lesson is overview to SolidWorks. I specify what the students will be learning throughout the whole week or module, and the same thing for week number 2, 3, 4, and 5, and and so on and so forth. When you click on it, you have a link directly to Solid Professor, so the students don't get confused. So this class is super simple to follow. And then when you go to the second one, you're going to start having designs and homeworks on my own. I try to challenge my students a little bit and I push my students a lot because my whole goal is to get the students certified at the end of the semester. Every 4 weeks, my classes, they are not going to run like other classes with midterms and then final exam and then final project. No, I will go with 3 exams throughout the semester. And then finally, if you get a good grade, you're going to get the chance to take the certification exam. And it sounds like, oh, get the chance to get the certification exam. Not everybody's going to get it. Okay, when I'm assessing my students throughout the semester and I see that the student doesn't have what it takes to take the exam, I don't want the students to take the exam, so I offer them a final project or something like that. For the students that are always working, then I give them the voucher to take the certification exam, and that's what I call the SolidWorks certification deal. I tell the students that if they complete the whole content of the class within, I don't know, 8 weeks or so, and then they get more than 90 something on my exams, which are very challenging, then I will get them the voucher free of charge, and they will make it to something that I call certification day, which is one day at the end of the semester in which I have all my students in one classroom taking the exam. It's about 2 classrooms with 25 students taking the exam. I I buy breakfast for them, and I try to make like a big deal out of this so the students can get excited and motivated about getting certified. Okay, then we have the other lessons, and then they go into exam 2, finally exam 3, final project for the ones that couldn't make it to the certification. So kind of, feedback I've received from my students. Some of them, they said that it's a lot of work, but it's improving to be working, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. So let me now go back to the presentation. Okay. So, well, like I said, the class has been evolving very rapidly between 2017 and now. And, pretty much we got solid professor one semester after I got hired, and it's been very helpful. So, what happened in solid modeling? Solid modeling in 2017. We had, like I explained you before, our strategy for solid modeling is based on SolidWorks, and we had solid modeling 1, 2, and 3 with books that they were great, they were pretty fine, and then we had solid modeling 1, 2, and 3 certifications. At that moment, though, they were not offered, no certifications at all, and we found that the students will get stuck with the book because the book is tutorial based. When they get stuck, they couldn't find help when they were working from home. So that got me thinking that something had to be revised and developed in order to improve the program itself. The engineering technology program has placed a lot of students in the industry, and I want to talk about Massachusetts. Companies are always looking for our students for a reason. So then, when we move all the way to 2020, now we have solid professor as the only way to teach right now at Middlesex, and certifications are provided for free. Okay, we don't give the vouchers like candies. We really make sure that our students have what it takes in order to get a chance at passing the certification exam. And we make, me and my colleagues, we make a big deal out of this because we want the students to be motivated. Motivation is what takes education to a whole different level. And I found these not only in the engineering technology CAT, but also in my mechanical engineering students. So this is a little bit of the results of the certifications throughout, the whole thing. We had in fall 2018, only 4 students failed the certification exam out of 25. Then when one semester after that, only 2 students failed the certification exam. And finally, in fall 2019, only 1 student failed the certification exam. That was quite excited for everybody because we've been improving the passing rate through the semesters. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it in the spring semester because the college was completely closed, and we couldn't get, all the students in one classroom. I taught solid modeling 1 in the summer, and I'm glad to announce that for the very first time, a student with no experience in SolidWorks got certified with a perfect score, only with 1 month training. So the course that I show you on Blackboard is pretty much the same course that I use in the summer. The only difference is that the student he had to complete the whole preparation in 4 weeks, and that was quite a challenge, but he did it, and he got a great score. So we keep moving a little bit. When the COVID-19 happened, many things happened very quickly, as you know. Okay, Middlesex moved all in-person classes to remote learning. Students had to complete their semester from home, and that was quite of a challenge. The classes had to be redesigned to remote learning format, and that was a huge challenge for my faculty colleagues, especially if they were not, used to the whole remote teaching. It was quite a challenge for me as well. Okay, because teaching online is not the same thing when you're teaching remotely. When you're teaching remotely and you're meeting with the student face to face, they get stuck. Teaching thermodynamics through a computer is never easy. And that was quite a challenge for me. I got to keep my students motivated. They kept showing up in class, asking questions, and that ended up being, very well for them. They were struggling with the stress, as many students across the U.S. The only problem with this is that MCC library and labs were closed, limiting the access to computers to the students. So what did we do? Exactly what, as a college, as a group of people, did. So myself personally, I created many channels of communications for my students. I never used social media to get in touch with my students. So I was kind of, you know, thinking whether it was a good idea to give my students my social media or not. And at the end, I decided that was not a good idea. So what I did instead, I created professional social media, an account on Instagram, Skype, LinkedIn, and everything. So the students will get access and talk to me in real time. I set up some rules for sure. For example, things like, things like having the students, not getting in touch with me after 5 p.m., for example, and the schedule was all the way from 8 in the morning to 5 p.m. And it was amazing. You will see a student in solid modeling 2 struggling with SolidWorks. He will just go on Instagram, send me a picture of the problem, and then telling me, okay, I'm stuck. What should I do? And then if I was available, then we will have a conference call, and then I will explain him what to do in order to solve the problem. And that went pretty well. I'm proud to say that my students are very well prepared to take the certification exams, and they're very motivated. So some students, they didn't want to use Instagrams and they decided to use Skype. Some others just kept using regular emails. But if they wanted to have a really close approach with me, they will go into any of the communication channels I develop, so the students can, it's all about a student success. That's all I'm trying to say. The college, as a group, they started distributing Chromebooks for students in need, students with no computers. So the school will give them the computers. They start, giving even internet hotspots so the students can, get access to the internet, because our whole design was based on the BDI. And I have to say, and right now I give quite credit to Middlesex, because when they first offered the idea of having a VDI instead of computers back in 2017, probably we were a little bit against it just because of the fact of CAD. Everybody that had worked with SolidWorks or Inventor or things like that in the past, you would be just like, you're not sure if that will work or not. Okay. But now with the pandemic, it's been working pretty well. And I have to say that all my classes in the fall are going to run online. I teach 7 classes per semester, which is a lot. But all the classes are going to run online thanks to the VDI. The college, it's, keeping the VDIs in the best performance possible. Sometimes, like I said, it could be very laggy, but we have people ready to assist the students at any moment. So that went pretty well. Um, to teach engineering was quite a challenge, and I'm going to give the example of thermodynamics because that's one of the toughest classes at the community college level, I would say. Thanks God we got, iPads and iPod pencils, and so we can show the students how to do exercises in the proper way. I recorded myself solving exercises and posting those videos on YouTube, so the students can go and watch the video of myself explaining the exercises. I had supplemental instructors, so at the end of the day, none of my classes, none of the 7 classes I taught last semester went bad because of the COVID. We struggled like everybody else, but thanks God we were ready for this kind of situation before it happened. So finally, I have to give huge credit to Solid Professor. I don't know if everybody that is listening to this are using Solid Professor as a only learning experience, or if you're using books and Solid Professor at the same time. I have to say that one of the most important things I found about Solid Professor is that now my students only pay the fee at the beginning of the program, which is Engineering Graphics 1 and Solid Modeling 1, and they don't have to pay anything else throughout the whole program. And for community college students, that's quite important. They struggle with money, and if they only have to pay 115 or 120, I don't remember right now the price for 2 years, they can use Solid Professor to approve Solid Modeling 1, 2, and 3 to go through Architectural CAD, which is Revit. And if you've been working with Revit before, you know that that's a very tough class to teach and to be in. Engineering Graphics 1 and 2, which is AutoCAD at the two levels, is also being taught by Solid Professor. And I even I'm using right now Solid Professors for thermodynamics. The whole key of my success has been to keep my students motivated. Okay, if you're in a thermodynamics class with me and I'm teaching you how temperature will react to the materials and everything, at the beginning the student will be a little bit bored, or they will not understand the terms. But if you tell them, okay, you had SolidWorks last semester, okay, keep working hard, keep reading the book, keep understanding each one of the topics, because at the end of the semester I'm going to start teaching you how to combine SolidWorks with thermodynamics. And if you do the same thing for statics and dynamics, the students themselves, they're going to get excited. And once they are motivated to keep going, they're going to keep pushing until the end. And that's a great experience that they can take when they transfer over state schools to continue their education. Um, as a mechanical engineer myself, I remember I had to learn Inventor, just watching tutorials, just looking on YouTube and things like that. I had amazing courses in my bachelor's and master's, like advanced mechanics and things like that, but I was never introduced formally to a 3D software as a way of 3D model. So I don't teach my students how to use SolidWorks. I just teach my students how to develop their design intent, and more importantly, to develop the critical thinking when they're working with 3D models. Because as you know, when you're taking exams such as certifications like CSWA or CSWP, it doesn't matter if you know how to use the commands. What matters is that you know how to do time management, and and keep everything together so you can go through the exam through 3 hours. So finally, we're just falling to the end. I just want to see if you have any questions for me that I can answer at the moment. I have to say that technology, it's quite important for the people that are teaching the same way I'm teaching. Your students will more likely react positively to technology when you use it in the classroom. And I think that now with the COVID situation, the whole education is changing rapidly, and we need to move as rapid as the education is changing so we can give the students the best of ourselves. So again, I want to thank Solid Professor for putting this amazing event together. I've learned so much listening from my colleagues in education. It's amazing what we're doing. And, I'm ready to answer any questions if you have one. Let me take a look at this. Okay, so would I be willing to let you see my projects on Blackboard? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I on Blackboard. I have plenty of projects. We actually placed third in a 3D printing in a national 3D printing competition. That was one of the biggest projects we had in the department. So yeah, I would say yes. Well, how do you integrate SolidWorks with thermodynamics? Okay, if you're teaching thermo, right, you know that it's a 3 credit class, and it has only like an hour and 15 minutes per session. So you have to move into the content. But towards the end, if you have the space after your final, you can offer your students a project instead of a final. So you can spend, I have to say also that before thermo, the students had solid modeling 1, which means they already know the software. So you just have to give them some simulations techniques for them only to get familiar with the simulation tools in SolidWorks. Okay, they're not gonna get super deep into the concept, but at least they could see, a simple graph of how, the material is changing or the stresses that are being generated. Okay, will you would share your Blackboard course with me? I will have to check with my dean, but I think, yeah, I'm pretty open to that. I've shared that with my colleagues through Middlesex. The same thing with my SolidWorks, my Solid Professor classes. I have so many classes created on my own. Solid Professor has like pre-created, and then I start adding modules, different modules and lessons, so the students get more prepared. But yeah, I would say yes. Have an information from. I think you can email me if you want. So actually, the next slide, it's my information. There you have my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my email. I also have a Skype. Feel free to reach out. I will be more than happy to help you with anything you need. Any more questions? Well, for everybody, guys, if you have any questions, you can just reach out to me. Right now we're in the summer. I'm creating right now more classes on Solid Professor in an online format, so I can teach it. Probably in the spring. Who knows what the whole COVID is gonna be? So if you need help with anything, you can let me know. Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you very much. See. All right. Let me go to the Q&A. Okay. The USs. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for telling me that there was some open questions. So let me open. Okay. Was it difficult to get support for implementing VDI? Well, if I'm quite honest with you, when the VDI was first exposed to Middlesex, I wasn't at Middlesex back then. It was 2016, and I think some of the engineering professors were against the VDIs just because of the CAD performance. Some others were, very positively moving forward with that. But in the end, the college as a whole, they decided to move into the VDIs, not only to give the students the chance to access to the VDIs from home, but also because they were super excited with the idea that that would save money to the school, because now you only have to do maintenance to the servers instead of going into the computers. The stations, so if you go to Middlesex, you'll see computer stations, but they're not computers. It's just only one monitor and something that is called client, which is very cheaper, a lot cheaper than a computer, and it will last a lot of years. So yeah, I would say at first it was a challenge, but now everybody's happy with that because it's paying off finally. Jersey is more often. Okay, yes, I do. So not in solid modeling 1, 2, and 3, because my whole goal in those 3 classes is to take the students to the professional certification level in SolidWorks. That's all I do between SolidWorks 1, solid modeling 1, and solid modeling 3. When they move into the practicum in CAD, that's an open project. It's a whole semester just developing different projects. For example, last semester I had the students redesigning a whole material science in engineers lab at Middlesex. So we're building the lab based on the design of my students using Revit. Then the other half was an open project to help the COVID situation, and they help us with designs for face shield and things like that, and we use it. So I always give my students the chance to use their imagination. I want them to see what they're able to create. I'm all for it. The Blackboard, yeah, I put it together. I've been working a lot through, I would say every semester I try to put something new. Like I said, my online class, I just taught the class and the student got certified in 1 month, just following through the Blackboard. He said that it was a lot of work and a lot of pressure, but he was in love with Solid Professor in my work back then, and he got a perfect score, by the way. In one of the classes, especially with AutoCAD, when they work with SolidWorks, right, they don't want to work with AutoCAD. They get a little bit bored because of that. So when that happened, I started using my students and putting competitions in AutoCAD. I will be like, okay, now you work together and I want you to design this. Whoever finished the design, in the fastest time, then we'll get something. And then I give them something, whatever that is, points, something that will keep them motivated. The cost for VDI system, I think it's a big investment at first, but if you see that throughout the years, it'll save thousands, if not more, to the college. That's what I heard, but I'm not that's not my specialty. Yes, it does support it does support Chromebooks or anything. You only need, literally, I've been connecting through the VDI from a very old computer, and SolidWorks will work just fine. Okay, right now that nobody's at the school, I will probably be the only one accessing to SolidWorks. It's super fast, and when we are all together connected at the same time, it gets just a little laggy. But I would say the last semester, if you want your VDIs to be better in performance, then you will have to add more servers, and that's what you do, and you keep adding and making those servers stronger so they can support and stand the whole load of, I don't know, 300, 400 students connected at the same time. For the certification exam, sometimes I have 25 students in 2 classrooms and then 18 students in another classroom taking the CSWP at the same time, and nothing happens. Everything goes smoothly, and for sure I have a whole IT team with me ready to go in case something happens. Okay, so for projects, what rubric do I use? So for every project, when the project is being designed, I ask the students to submit a proposal. Then I approve the proposal or I reject the proposal. I give them points for that. Then after that, they have individual meetings with me to tell me how the project is moving forward. Like in a company, when you have a project, you have to meet with your manager. Well, the same thing. And I will be a little bit rough sometimes, if I see that they're not moving fast or they're just not doing their work. And then if they're doing it right, then I just keep motivating them. Then we have a presentation at first, so they can present to the other classmates what the project is about. They get questions and things like that. And then finally, they meet with me one more time and they have another presentation. That's only half of the semester, by the way. Okay, so what I do with the students to assess the results, let's say you have a part, right? And you will go and design your part yourself, and you will get a mass value for that part. So now when the students submit their work on Blackboard and you download the file, you only need to assign the material the same that you have and then measure the mass. If the mass is too distant from your own model, you can start scaling down the grade. That's how I cut grades or give points to the students, and they know that. I'm very open with that in the classroom. I always tell them, if you have the same mass as I do, but for sure I also have answers in case I made a mistake or something like that, and I've done it in the past, by the way. Then I will give them credit or cut the grades. I try to make a big deal about the grades, and I don't tell them anything about the certifications until mid-semester or something like that. So they know that everything they're doing is building up to a final grade. Okay, let me see if I have more questions? All right. So I think I don't know if you don't have any more questions. I think we probably are ready to go. Let me see. All right, everybody. So if you have more questions, like I said, my social media is right there. My email is right there. Just go and talk to me whenever you need something. I'm more than happy. During the semester, it's a little bit challenged because, like I said, I'm teaching 7 classes a semester, which is a heavy load. But for me, it's like nothing. Okay. And again, before I leave, I just want to thank again Solid Professor, not only for putting the event, but also to keep making things better for us. I mean, this is a teamwork. I always say that to my dean. It's the college, it's a Solid Professor team, it's myself, my colleagues. It's a teamwork. That's why we have the students we have. So thank you so much. And if you need anything, just let me know and get in touch with me. Thank you.